There's a new sort of like fundamental primitive coming to the Solana ecosystem in the next couple of weeks that's really never been tried before. Not going to be sandwiched. You're not going to lose all your money to MEV. Man, analytics and visibility are core no matter what you're trading. Man, we've got a lot coming down the pipeline. I'll drop a little bit of alpha here for your listeners.
GM, and welcome back to Solana Floor. We got a super juicy update for all the degens out there today because we're chatting with Grant, who's the founder of Kinetic. Now, aside from having a very interesting background that also intersects with crypto's greatest supervillain, he also just gets it. Grant's building the best place to trade on Solana, and Kinetic has a really easy to use, intuitive design that, at least in my mind, can help to consolidate some of the fragmented trading experiences out there today. Now, there's also a juicy point system that they're working on, and there's a leaderboard, so stick around to the end to get all the alpha. Grant, I want to start with a little bit of background here, personal background actually, because before becoming a founder, I get the impression that you had quite an exciting journey into crypto, and I want to start with your time at Jane Street. So the reason why I'm asking this, and it's a bit of a tangent, but bear with me, most of our listeners, our audience might not know this, but in my mind at least, perhaps the most infamous crypto founder possibly ever also started his career at Jane Street. So there's a bit of a parallel there. And I'm curious if you ever crossed paths with Sam Bankman-Fried while you were working at Jane Street.
It's such a funny question. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes I liken myself to the anti-SBF in some sense because, yes, Jane Street for a little bit. I grew up in the Bay Area. I'm interested in a lot of these, mathematical topics. But SBF is sort of the reason why I built this company, because, structuring the crypto ecosystem in such a way that you send all your funds to someone's offshore Bahamian bank account is exactly wrong, right? Like the whole point of crypto is it should be decentralized. It should have self-custody of the assets and all these types of things. And so, the whole FTX saga was really the inspiration for me to then, go on and build this decentralized exchange called Kinetic that we have since then. And so I've only messaged with him a little bit on, LinkedIn and X and all these kinds of things. He was, many years before me.
All right. So no personal, face-to-face contact.
No affiliation, luckily. Yeah.
Awesome. So was that sort of the aha moment then when, the poster child of crypto turned out to be a bit of a fraud, goes to jail? Was that when it all clicked and you thought, I can do this better, more transparently? Was that the aha moment?
That's exactly right. Yeah. People talk in crypto about trustlessness, right? And it's this word that's thrown around. And, what does that actually mean? And this is exactly one of those examples where one of the pillars of the crypto ecosystem, Sam Bankman-Fried, who was a talking head, a real supporter for the, for our ecosystem, and, turns out to be a, complete fraud. Touching the customer funds and all these kinds of things. And so that was sort of the aha moment. And then there are details from there on how we got to the aggregation step and all that it really kind of pilled me on decentralized exchanges back then.
Awesome. Well, I think a lot of people would feel, very strongly about that because he cost so many people so much money, right? And set the industry back quite a few years. So let's dive into Kinetic because I've done some digging. You've got a very impressive team of quants. You've got PhDs, you've got experienced traders. You've all come together to design this thing called Kinetic. So I want to unpack that a little bit. How did it all come together? And talk to me about Kinetic.
Yeah, we have everyone on the team is very specialized. So world-class front-end talent. We have, PhD, plasma physicists, right, on the research side. We have, world-class back-end engineers, amazing designers. And so, yeah, I really do appreciate having, the very specialized talent on the team. But then what is Kinetic, right? The vision is to basically build the best place to trade on Solana. And so what are the details within that? Best place to trade in Solana, what does that mean, right? And so Jeff Bezos sort of talks about in Amazon building the digital everything store. He basically says that there are, three important facets that'll be the case no matter what. The future is going to change a lot, but what isn't going to change in the future? Users are always going to want cheaper stuff. They're going to want it to be shipped faster, and they're going to want broader selection of these assets or of the items that they can choose from. And so building the digital everything store will also have these properties. We want super fast execution. We want super cheap execution. We want the broadest support of all the assets that we can possibly manage. And then also we want to help with discovery of these kind of, beautiful new tokens for our users. And so those are sort of the four pillars that we're working hard on every day.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. If anyone has gone to Kinetic, they'll understand exactly what you're talking about. But I urge you to go and check it out. I've played around with it a bit. I've top blasted a few of the tokens as well. Don't do that, but go and check it out. The design is really intuitive. It's got this sort of gamified, arcade-like design. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that. I've heard you talking about your background in poker and how gamification sort of came into your mindset. So talk to me about that philosophy and how you connected those dots between, where DeFi was, some of the problems that you saw, and then how you decided to essentially build the best place to trade on Solana.
I wish more things in the world were gamified, right? Like I wish my email was gamified. I'm sometimes a little bit slow to get through my email, but if it was a fun,
Me too.
streaks and points and all these things, I would probably get through that a little bit faster. I was working out, going to the gym. It'd be amazing to have the kind of the extra points and rewards and those kinds of things, a social aspect to going to the gym, right? These, gamification techniques definitely, help people just accomplish whatever their goals in that particular domain is. And so by starting with this arcade style aesthetic, it allows us to sort of natively embed gamification type features into the product in a way that makes it retentive and fun and engaging. And honestly, I mean, the types of assets that are being created, right? Like these are not, staunchy, very pristine assets. A lot of these are brand new meme coins and all this. And so it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be engaging. And we want to start with a niche, right? We want to start with a kind of a very crypto specific aesthetic. And then eventually we'll sort of broaden out into a more kind of professional aesthetic over time. And we'll get more boring as we, accrue more and more users and all these things. This is the sort of, lifespan of a company. But we want to start with a sort of very crypto specific aesthetic in the early days.
Well, I think you've hit the nail right on the head there with the design in that case. So specific to the trading experience, right? I want to focus a little bit about the best place to trade on Solana. The reason is if I sort of go into full degen mode, somebody sends me a message on Telegram. They're like, hey, look, this is pumping. I end up finding myself on like 3 different websites, 2 different platforms. I'm on Telegram, I'm on Discord, maybe I'm on Dex Screener, and it's constantly switching between tabs, or I end up with like 4 screens around me and I'm getting blasted by blue light, and it's not necessarily the smoothest trading experience, even though it's really, really fun. So is that fragmentation, that sort of, fragmented experience, part of the problem that you decided you wanted to solve and just really narrow everything into one screen?
You absolutely nailed it. Yeah, I think, my kind of trenching experience is 12 different tabs. I'm hopping between all these different things. Not only am I in my browser tabs, Telegram and Discord and all these things, and a phone call from a friend, and it's all kind of wild chaos, right? But if you can sort of make it into a very coherent product experience that you don't have to copy it from one platform and into the next, right? So in the early days of kind of Solana trenching, right, there were not aggregators before Jupiter, right? And so you were looking at Orca, you were looking at Radium, you were looking at a bunch of these other kind of on-chain dexes and trying to find where is the best kind of cheapest place to execute this trade. And there are 20 different, with USDC pools or something like that, and so that creates this arbitrage such that the arbitrageur then trades against you and nudge all the other prices up, right? And you're paying them. Now, these guys are making tens or hundreds of millions of dollars a year at your expense, right? And so, really consolidating liquidity through this aggregator, consolidating the tools into one coherent product experience is something that's like a core pillar for Kinetic.
So you mentioned the transparency element of it. And when I was playing around with Kinetic, I came across the leaderboard system, which is, I think, brilliant. You can click on the trader, see what they've done, the volume, and what they've actually traded, which I think is great. You can follow these really profitable traders. You can unfollow the really unprofitable ones. So for me, it's also a learning experience. So if I go to a place like Kinetic, I don't then have to go and ask someone, hey, which 5 traders are you following? It's all right there in one screen. So explain to me the thought process behind introducing that level of transparency to it. What are the main benefits for the traders?
Yeah, 100%. You can find, here are the best traders by P&L on Kinetic, and you can see, Cupsy is crushing it. He's made, $1 million in the last month or something like this. I'm just kind of throwing out numbers. And it's like, what is he doing? What is his kind of trenching patterns? What types of tokens is he buying? And all these kinds of things. And you can see the analytics on Kinetic, and you can kind of understand his wallet's buying patterns and all these things. And then also you can set up in the tracker functionality, you can follow and basically see his trades as they come online, and you can get notified. Eventually, we will create a mobile experience, which will send you a push notification kind of natively to your phone. Hey, these big traders or your friends or something like that, just made a big purchase. These are the types of tokens that maybe you'd be interested in, and we can kind of serve up native notifications. And so that's something that we're already working hard on in the kind of desktop application, which is our primary interface at the moment.
Awesome. The follow-up to a leaderboard and a point system is obviously rewards. People are likely expecting some sort of rewards from this. But over the last, let's say, year and a half, the whole, airdrop and points meta has sort of raised a bit of healthy skepticism, I would say. There's been quite a few maybe not failed, but disappointing airdrops, disappointing reward systems. Some of them are still ongoing. People are really just eagerly waiting for those points to arrive. But how do we fix that problem? How do we fix that issue with the way incentives are usually run?
Yeah, I mean you're totally right. I think MetaMask is now finally teasing their their airdrop 10 years after I made my
It's
first
been too
transaction.
long.
Yeah, I think literally it must have been 2015 or 2016 when I made my first kind of MetaMask transaction or something like this, right? And so it's been a very long time, and there are Solana kind of trading terminals that promise tokens that maybe haven't materialized like you're alluding to. And so, I mean, fundamentally, I am very crypto pilled and want to run an on-chain native business, and I think most businesses should actually be run on-chain, and I think we'll see more and more of that happening. And so, I'm very excited to potentially do a token launch and all these things. Timeline TBD. We'll figure out all those details, but I'm very excited about that, and clearly it will tie into leaderboard and points programs and all these things. I think seasons are super fun. I think we're having a lot of contests every week or every 2 weeks. Trench trading contest was one that we just kind of ran. And so, in this sort of Solana trenches, depending on how much volume you're doing, you're going to get this sort of either daily or weekly payout. We've had referral contests, which have been very, very fruitful for us. And so we also have kind of custom referral codes. But if you know anybody in the crypto ecosystem and you send them the referral code and it goes 4 orders kind of down the line, you're going to end up, you can just go to Kinetic and click claim on that button, and you'll be kind of pulling in the fees of the people that you've referred. So it's a really strong incentive to at least just share it with your friends, and just make an account, and maybe they'll share it with their friends, and so on, and it should spread.
Super, super exciting. So I want to sort of think about the near future. What are the next features that you're building into Kinetic to really make sure that it does become the best place to trade on Solana, to attract people, to make the playing field a little bit more level? What's next? What can we look forward to in the coming 3 to 6 months?
Man, we've got a lot coming down the pipeline. I'll drop a little bit of alpha here for your listeners. We're working on a new mechanism that should be coming online in the next couple of weeks. We'll be dropping a white paper, and then the actual protocol will follow shortly thereafter, about what's called frequent batch auctions in the traditional financial ecosystem, where if you transact through a Solana block, depending on if you get top of block or later in the block, everyone is sort of getting a different price through the AMM, right? But imagine, blockchains are sort of natively discrete, and so everyone should kind of transact at the same price. You could sort of net everyone out in this auction. If you're buying it, WIF or bonk or something like that, within one block, you should net everyone out. And so we have this new mechanism coming that we're calling our SUPA mechanism, dropping the name here. SUPA stands for Solana Uniform Price Auction. And so every block we're going to be running an auction, and that prevents a lot of MEV stuff. You can't sandwich a particular order because the sandwicher will be buying at the same price that you buy, and then if they try to sell after you, they're also getting the same price. And so by netting everyone out, there's sort of no incentive to sandwich orders at all in this sort of new AMM design. And so this is a new sort of like fundamental primitive coming to the Solana ecosystem in the next couple of weeks that's really never been tried before.
Really, really interesting. Explain to me the difference between how it benefits me as a trader and how it's beneficial for a whale or an LP.
Yeah, so it's beneficial sort of across the board for all the participants, which is amazing. So as a trader, you're not going to be sandwiched, you're not going to lose all your money to MEV, and there's going to be more liquidity sort of netting each other out. This is sort of like the closing auction in traditional equities, where if you transact during the trading day, there are all these microsecond optimizations that these high frequency trading firms are doing to front run you, and you're having price impact in the middle of the trading day. But if you transact at the closing auction, at the end of the day, everyone sort of nets out at the same price, and you just get much better, deeper liquidity. And so as a trader, you get deeper liquidity, less sandwiching, or basically no sandwiching, and it's strictly better for traders. And if it is then better for traders and there's more volume happening to the ecosystem, the LP fees are basically proportional to the amount of volume happening. And so as a liquidity provider in the ecosystem, you're going to be earning more fees through these pools because traders are going to be kind of more interested in providing or trading through them.
So I want to zoom out here for a second. We touched on a few terms there, and we've mentioned your background as well. I want to ask you very specific lessons that you've taken from your time in TradFi, from being a trader, etc., that you're bringing to this on-chain trading experience to make it smoother for degens. Are there specific experiences that you think would really elevate the experience for on-chain trading?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, man, analytics and visibility are core no matter what you're trading. The more the more that you could see about the products that you're trading, I think the better off your experience is going to be. And so if someone is on the other side of your trade, you do want a lot of kind of analytics, and you want to kind of have a theory of mind for, maybe who you're transacting against. So that's like kind of one traditional finance principle that's very helpful when trading on crypto markets.
What does Kinetic look like in 2 to 3 years? You mentioned earlier on in the chat that maybe it takes on a slightly more mature design. Maybe there's less sort of gamification when you first come onto the platform, but specific to the trading experience, how is Kinetic going to evolve in the next 2 to 3 years? What are you optimizing for, I think is the question.
Yeah, Kinetic is going to get cheaper and cheaper swaps, faster and faster data on the platform, faster and faster execution, broader token selection. And I think that'll be, a constant trend for us. Better and better analytics. I think, better automation. We're going to be launching some kind of automated trading infrastructure such that people can start programming their own trading strategies and all these kinds of things. Because if you come up with a great system, you shouldn't maybe have to sit in front of your computer and point and click all the time. You can, maybe automate some of these trading strategies, right? And then, better and better social features as well. I think there have been a lot of crypto social platforms that have been tried. But I think having the social kind of experience around the kind of the core trading or the core crypto use case, which it turns out is really trading, is kind of the, programmable money is, very well suited to trading infrastructure, right? And so building a social experience around the trading side, I think will be a very core part of Kinetic in the coming years.
Super exciting. I mean, I love the idea of just being able to find a very profitable trader and, see the last 2-3 trades that he's done. If it's within the last 20-30 minutes, hey, maybe I'm saving myself a lot of time / not doing the due diligence that I should be doing before aping into something. Not financial advice. Don't trade the way I do. You will lose money. Grant, where can people go right now today to get on the leaderboards to start with season 1? I believe it's active right now.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. Kinetic.xyz is our site. Kinetic_XYZ on X/Twitter. We have a Discord as well. All the social channels you can find either on our homepage or on X. And I'm at Grant Stinger on Twitter as well. DM me anytime, and I'm happy to answer any questions about Kinetic and onboarding you. If you want to kind of custom hand onboarding session, I'd love to call and get your feedback.
Awesome. Look at that. That's alpha pack. Thank you so much for making time, mate. Really appreciate it, and hopefully catch up very soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.